Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with veteran jazz guitarist Vincent Venezia. We caught up with him about his latest 2024 CD, The Venetian, and his life in music. He began playing guitar at 8, studying with various instructors from his hometown of Cliffside Park, New Jersey. Accomplished in several styles of music, he is a veteran of Broadway and European tours and works steadily in the tri-state area as a leader, sideman, and composer since graduating William Paterson College. He's got a great story. Enjoy. Well, hey, it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out for the show today.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me on. It's very nice of you.
Absolutely. So before we get into the Venetian, I want to know, how did you survive as an artist the last 3.5 years or so getting through COVID? How did you get through that time period, and how did it change you?
It was, it's funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine. He's a sax player, and he said, and it was like right at the onset, he said, musicians aren't really going to have that hard of a time because they spend most of their time by themselves practicing in a room. And there is some truth in that. As far as gigs go, I didn't really have a real abundance of gigs at the time, but that it was right when my first record came out, and I was actually starting to get a little traction. It was nice. I was starting to get more gigs in more listening rooms and that sort of thing. And then COVID kind of hit, and then the whole thing was squashed. So it was a drag. There were just no gigs and at all for 1.5 or 2 years. And even after that, it seemed very slow and, starting back up. Now, I got this second record out, and hopefully I'll be able to get a little more traction again. And hopefully there won't be another pandemic, for another couple of 100 years, hopefully. But other than that, I got through it. I spent some time, writing and starting to think about the second record. But I'm a piano technician as well, so I do that for a steady income. But that was pretty much shut down for maybe a year or so. So it was just spending a lot of time by myself.
So talk to me a little bit about this release. How good does it feel to have an album out, and kind of what was the artistic aim?
It's a great accomplishment to do a record, and there's a lot of planning and just trying to get people together on one day to get a record session together. But it feels good to have another one out. And as far as what I was thinking and concept, my first record was all original tunes that I wrote, and I was going to have that as a mixture of some standards and some originals. And it wound up, I just kept writing, and it wound up being all originals. And then I had like 4 or so standards left over from that session, and I put them on this record, on the Venetian, and then recorded another, 9 tunes or so to make this record. And it turned out to be primarily standards and 1 tune of my own that I put on it as well. So it was just, I just wanted to just record myself and document, me in this time period, and I just thought it'd be nice just to have a record of standards.
So how did this jazz journey begin for you?
Well, I started playing guitar when I was, I think, about 8 years old. I was nagging my folks to get me a guitar and get me lessons. I think I started bugging them when I was around 6. And I think they caved when I was about 8 years old, and they got me some lessons. And for the most part, I was interested in rock and roll and listened to the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix and all those rock bands coming up, um, and I think some schoolmates in I think it was in middle school or so, they were starting to listen to some different kinds of music and jazz, and a different teacher, and I started listening to it, and I got hooked on it, and ever since then I've been doing my best to make myself the best player I could be.
So what was the first live jazz show you saw that blew you away?
Um, that's I know that the answer to that question very quickly. That would have been Return to Forever in I think it was the mid '70s, late '70s. I think it was at I can't remember. It may have been Carnegie Hall, or I can't remember where it was at. But it was the Return to Forever band with Chick and Al Di Meola, Stanley Clarke, Lenny White. And it just, I mean, Al Di Meola just, I heard him that night and I knew that's what I wanted to do. And it's funny, I recently met Al because he was working with Richie Morales, who was on this record. And I went down to the Blue Note to go hear them, and I was introduced to Al, and we spoke for a while. And I told him that story that he was the guy that tipped me over the edge to decide to have a career in music. So I didn't know whether to thank him or yell at him. I wasn't too sure, but no, I'm glad I'm a musician.
So, what is the best part? What do you look forward to the most about being a professional musician?
I think right now I look forward to writing some more. I think I want to. I said I was going to do some studying in composition this winter. I haven't gotten on it yet, but yeah, I think I'm going to focus mostly on doing some writing for my next record, and that's where I am right now. And and trying to do some practicing and getting together and do sessions and try and get some gigs. Actually, is what my next step is, just to concentrate on that as well, because it takes a lot of time and energy to get out a CD, and after the smoke clears, which is kind of now, I'm gonna try and get some more gigs and get out there and play more, sell some records.
So, at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, fans, but ultimately you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Who do I think I am? That's a good question. I'm just like a lot of other jazz musicians that are just trying to make their mark, get heard, get on the radio, that sort of thing. And I mean, personally, and it's probably true for a lot of other musicians, the most important thing is to try and be the best player that you could be. So you can get out there and express yourself in a way that nobody else can, because it's unique to yourself, your own sound, the style, the way you play, that sort of thing. And so that's who I am, I guess.
So if anyone wants to pick up the new album, see live shows, anything else more about your world, where's the best place to go?
I haven't yet put it up on my website. It'll be available on my website soon. If you want it right away, you could find it at Amazon, and all the other platforms, Apple Music for streaming, Pandora, Spotify. It's available on all platforms. If you want a physical CD, though, it'd probably be best to Amazon has the physical CD.
Wonderful. Hey, man, this has been great. Vincent, thank you for taking a minute out to talk about your world of music, the brand new album. Best of luck with everything.
Well, thanks for having me, Jim. I really do appreciate it. It's been great talking to you, and once again, thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and minds in New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the globe, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Vincent for his time and cool. If you want to hear more Neon Jazz interviews, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us at YouTube, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to theneonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.